Installing your work with John Deal. Now we're going to move on to hanging the work. And we're going to put the work into a space that we, into this gallery space that we have here. And hang it both on the D-ring and off of the braided wire. Okay. So the first thing I need to do, I'm just going to clear off my area a little bit. I'm going to move my trunk. And we'll get rid of our wire. Now for this, what we're going to need is we need a level, absolutely. Tape measure, good old trusty hammer. And we're going to use, obviously we need a pencil. And picture hangers. Now these are some picture hangers that I got a long time ago. I don't think they even make these anymore.
They don't?
But you can even find, these are picture hangers that you can find in most hardware stores or art stores. Okay? All right. Okay, so for this we're going to decide roughly around middle of the wall. I'd say we're going to go around here, which is about middle for our viewers at home. And what I want to do is first, I've got to figure out what my eye level is going to be. So in the majority of galleries, you'll notice that most of the paintings are hung at a very consistent height. And that's so that the viewers can engage with the work without any kind of impedance, without having to work, without it being too high or too low. Oftentimes, you can go as much as 60. You can go as high as you want to go. Oftentimes, if I'm installing in an office setting, I'll go a little bit higher, only because there's more traffic, there's more people moving around. And in galleries, there's a pretty standard understanding that you give the work some space. So for this part, I'm going to hang it at 54 inches. If you want to go a bit higher, that's up to you. You just need to adjust your measurements for it. So keeping that 54 is what we have for our eye level, what we then need to do is to figure out what our piece is and how we're going to hang it so that the center of our piece is at eye level. So considering that we know that our piece is going to be at 54 inches eye level, what we then need to do is figure out how do we get our the center of our work at 54 inches if all the work is going to be at 54 inches eye level. So the way that we do that is we're going to take the full height of the piece. What we're going to have to do is we're going to measure the full height of our piece and divide that in two, because that'll give us where our center is. Then we need to find out what that measurement is, less the distance down from the top to the D-ring. So we'll subtract whatever that value is from our half of our height, our total height. So it's half of the height minus the distance from the top down. So half, here. So we'll do, half of the height, which is 36. So half of that is going to give me 18. So half of 36 is going to give me 18. And then if I subtract the distance down to my wire from that, that'll give me 14. So now I need to add 14 to my eye level, which is 54. So that's going to give me 68. So 54 plus 14, 68. So then, I come back to my wall. We'll measure up from the ground to 68. Okay? That will be where the bottom of our picture hanger will be. Now, when I'm hanging off a braided wire, I often like to use two picture hangers. In almost every case, I want to use two picture hangers, whether that be two off the D-rings or two off the braided wire. The reason for that is that if I hang only off of one, I'm basically giving it a pivot point. But if I hang off of two, I'm registering it and I'm ensuring that it doesn't swing too much. And when we're installing artwork, what we really don't want is any chance for that work to swing, to come out of level, but also to have any chance of being knocked off the wall or getting any kind of damage or anything of that sort. So here I am. I'm going to go on either side of my line here. I'm going to go 2 inches on either side. And I'm just setting it. It doesn't matter. I'm just using any number. So let's see, I'm using 6 here. So I'm going to go over to 4. And we'll go over to 8 on the other side. Basically, I'm just trying to get 2 inches on either side. Okay. Now we can just come in quickly and just check to see that these are level. Okay. And then with our trusty old hammer, we'll come in and I'm going to put the bottom of my hanger is going to go right on that line. Oh, sorry. Right on that line. Okay, so I'm just going to put it right on our line. Okay, just fine. Now, the tricky part here is going to be putting your, getting your picture wire to hang on both of those hooks. So, one trick that I like to use is getting my fingers. I'm going to hook that wire onto my finger, and then I can just put it on the first one, pull it over to the second one, and we're on. And then I'm just in the business of leveling the piece. So I'm going to get it level. With the braided wire, you have a lot more room for error because you can adjust it. When you're hanging it off of the D-rings, there's not going to be as much room for error. And so you're going to have to try and be a little more exact and precise in when you actually install your D-rings. So let's do that now. Using the same method, let's just get these out. Using the same method, we know this is 36. Okay. We know this is 36. We know halfway is 18. When I installed these, I put them at 9 inches down. So that's going to mean that 18 minus 9 is going to give us 9. And we'll add that number to 54. That's going to give us 63. Now the one big difference with this is that we now have to be mindful of where this piece sits and how far your D-rings are from each other. I'm going to tighten these up just a little bit for this part. Okay. And then we're going to measure, and here's a key point. So what we're going to do now is I want to measure from this side, let's say the left-hand side of this D-ring, to the left-hand side of this D-ring. I'm trying to figure out where the middle to middle is. And measuring from middle to middle it's fine, we can do that as well, but I always find that it's just a bit easier and faster to do it off of the side because you can hook onto the side easily. And that gives us 23 1/4. So each picture hanger will be half of 23 1/4 inches from the midpoint. What's half of 23 1/4?
Asking me?
Sure. When using the Imperial measurement system, inches, you're going to confront
fractions. If you remember back to grade 6 math class, you're going to use the reciprocal rule of division. That tells us to invert the divisor and multiply. Because I'm always going to be dividing in half when I'm installing work, I'm just simply going to let you know that you can double the denominator. So if you need half of a quarter, you're just going to double that 4, and it's 1/8.
Hanging a picture hanger on this side of the center and on this side of the center. So if we measure from our outside of our first D-ring to the inside, or I guess from the right side to the right side, our measurement is 23 1/4. Okay. Now an easy way to figure out what half of that is to fold your tape in half and to see where, roughly, where that matches up. And you can see here we've got 11.5 and a little bit more, which is about right, because 11.5 times 2 would give us 23. And then 1/8 plus 1/8 would give us a quarter. So we're going to go 11 5/8 on either side of our center point. Okay. So if we come back up here, we've got our center point. Let's call this center point. And now I'm going to go 11 5/8 to this side. And then I can just extend my tape to 23 1/4 to give me the other side. Now I just want to make sure that my vertical is good. So we got 68. It's 68 here. And 68 over here. You can always come back and check that with a level just to make sure that you're on. And that's pretty good to me. All right, so back to our picture hangers. And we're gonna put our first picture hanger in here. And we're going to put this one over in here. Okay. Now when I like to put my D-rings on, I'll often hold them with my fingers underneath. Okay, and that means that I can feel when I get my hanger on. So when I get one on, good. I can let it go. Come over and hang the other one. And then we're just going to check it again for level. And that looks pretty good to me. There we go. That is how to install your hardware and hang your work for an exhibition in a gallery.
If you want to know more about the technical world of art, like and subscribe.